Linda Westfall is a software quality expert. In a previously unaired segment from my conversation with her about designing quality software, we talk extensively about what it's like being a competitive fireworks maker, as she and her husband have been competing for years, and Linda is the very first woman Grand Master. So I hope you enjoy, as this seems appropriate for the July 4th holiday. Do you enjoy talking business? Do you enjoy reading about business? Do you geek out over the entrepreneurial journey? If so, then you are in the right spot. The Business Samurai podcast brings you the stories told by the people themselves. You'll be immersed in a wide variety of industries, from venture capital to gourmet popcorn, learning how to be a better leader, or the personalities behind solving the broadband crisis. At the Business Samurai, we believe it takes a wide variety of skill sets and experiences to be successful in business and life. Our aim is to not only entertain, but educate, for you to recognize how successful tactics and motivations in one industry can help propel you forward in your own unique business. Sit back, enjoy, and welcome to the Business Samurai podcast. I am your host, John Barker.